Joshua. Chapter 15. Verse 1. This then was the lot of the tribe of the children of Judah by their families. Even to the border of Edom, the wilderness of Zin southward was the uttermost part of the south coast. Verse 2. And their south border was from the shore of the salt sea, from the bay that looketh southward. Verse 3. And it went out to the south side to Mahalakrabim, and passed along to Zin, and ascended up on the south side unto Kadeshbarnea, and passed along to Hezron, and went up to Adar, and fetched a compass to Karka. Verse 4. From thence it passed toward Asmon, and went out unto the river of Egypt, and the goings out of that coast were at the sea. This shall be your south coast. Verse 5. And the east border was the salt sea, even unto the end of Jordan. Verse 6. And the border went up to Beth-hoglah, and passed along by the north of Beth-arabah, and the border went up to the stone of Bohan the son of Reuben. Verse 7. And the border went up toward Debir from the valley of Achor, and so northward, looking toward Gilgal, that is before the going up to Adamim, which is on the south side of the river. And the border passed toward the waters of En-shemesh, and the goings out thereof were at En-rogel. Verse 8. And the border went up by the valley of the son of Hinnom unto the south side of the Jebusite. The same is Jerusalem. And the border went up to the top of the mountain that leeth before the valley of Hinnom westward, which is at the end of the valley of the giants northward. Verse 9. And the border was drawn from the top of the hill unto the fountain of the water of Nephtoah, and went out to the cities of Mount Ephron. And the border was drawn to Baalah, which is Kirjath-jearim. Verse 10. And the border compassed from Baalah westward unto Mount Seir, and passed along unto the side of Mount Jearim, which is Chesalon, on the north side, and went down to Beth-shemesh, and passed on to Timnah. Verse 11. And the border went out unto the side of Ekron northward, and the border was drawn to Shekron, and passed along to Mount Baalah, and went out unto Jabneel. And the goings out of the border were at the sea. Verse 12. And the west border was to the great sea, and the coast thereof. This is the coast of the children of Judah round about according to their families. Verse 13. And unto Caleb the son of Jephunneh he gave a part among the children of Judah, according to the commandment of the Lord to Joshua, even the city of Arba the father of Anak, which city is Hebron. Verse 14. And Caleb drove thence the 3 sons of Anak, Sheshai, and Ahiman, and Talmai, the children of Anak. Verse 15. And he went up thence to the inhabitants of Debir, and the name of Debir before was Kirjath-sepher. Verse 16. And Caleb said, He that smiteth Kirjath-sepher, and taketh it, to him will I give Achsah my daughter to wife. Verse 17. And Othniel the son of Kenaz, the brother of Caleb, took it, and he gave him Achsah his daughter to wife. Verse 18. And it came to pass, as she came unto him, that she moved him to ask of her father a field. And she lighted off her ass. And Caleb said unto her, What wouldest thou? Verse 19. Who answered, Give me a blessing, for thou hast given me a south land. Give me also springs of water. And he gave her the upper springs, and the nether springs. Verse 20. This is the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Judah according to their families. Verse 21. And the uttermost cities of the tribe of the children of Judah toward the coast of Edom southward were Kabzeel, and Eder, and Jaggah. Verse 22. And Kinnah, and Dimnah, and Adada. Verse 23. And Kedesh, and Hazor, and Ithnan. Verse 24. Ziph, and Telem, and Beleth. Verse 25. And Hazor, Hadattah, and Kerioth, and Hezron, which is Hazor. Verse 26. Ammam, and Shemar, and Malada. Verse 27. And Hazagada, and Heshman, and Bethpelet. Verse 28. And Hazashual, and Beersheba, and Bizjothjah. Verse 29. Bala, and Eam, and Azam. Verse 30. And Eltolad, and Chezal, and Hormah. Verse 31. And Ziklag, and Madmanah, and Sanzanah. Verse 32. And Labi, and Shilhim, and An, and Rimmon. All the cities are 20 and 9, with their villages. Verse 33. And in the valley, Eshtaol, and Zoriah, and Ashna. Verse 34. And Zanoah, and Engannim, Tappuah, and Anam. Verse 35. Jarmuth, and Adullam, Soko, and Azekah. Verse 36. And Sharaim, and Adathaim, and Gedera, and Gederothaim. 14 cities with their villages. Verse 37. Zenon, and Hadashah, and Migdalgad. Verse 38. And Dilian, and Mitzpah, and Joktheel. Verse 39. Lachish, and Boshkath, and Eglon. Verse 40. And Caban, and Lamam, and Kathlish. Verse 41. And Gederoth, Bethdagon, and Naamah, and Makkedah. 16 cities with their villages. Verse 42. Libnah, and Ether, and Ashan. Verse 43. And Jiptah, and Ashna, and Nezib. Verse 44. And Keilah, and Akzib, and Marashah. 9 cities with their villages. Verse 45. Ekron, with her towns and her villages. Verse 46. From Ekron even unto the sea. All that lay near Ashdod, with their villages. Verse 47. Ashdod with her towns and her villages. Gaza with her towns and her villages. Unto the river of Egypt, and the great sea, and the border thereof. Verse 48. And in the mountains, Shamir, and Jatir, and Soko. Verse 49. And Dana, and Kirjathsana, which is Debir. Verse 50. And Anab, and Eshtemo, and Anam. Verse 51. And Goshen, and Holon, and Gilo. 11 cities with their villages. Verse 52. Arab, and Duma, and Eshin. Verse 53. And Janam, and Beth-Tappuah, and Aphekah. Verse 54. And Humta, and Kirjathaba, which is Hebron, and Zeor. 9 cities with their villages. Verse 55. Maon, Carmel, and Ziph, and Juttah. Verse 56. And Jezreel, and Jokdeam, and Zanoah. Verse 57. Cain, Gibeah, and Timnah. 10 cities with their villages. Verse 58. Halal, Bethzur, and Gedor. Verse 59. And Maarath, and Bethanoth, and Eltekon. 6 cities with their villages. Verse 60. Kirjath Baal, which is Kirjath-jearim, and Rabbah. 2 cities with their villages. Verse 61. In the wilderness, Betharabah, Middon, and Sakaka. Verse 62. And Nibshan, and the city of Salt, and Engedi. 6 cities with their villages. Verse 63. As for the Jebusites, the inhabitants of Jerusalem, the children of Judah could not drive them out. But the Jebusites dwell with the children of Judah at Jerusalem unto this day.